Michael here. Welcome to a very special episode of Technoid. We're not doing our usual tech show. Tonight's edition is a podcast. For most of you that have been around my channel know I love to do podcasts. Welcome back, everybody. Tonight's episode, we got a very special guest who is appearing for the second time. Again, a very good friend of mine, very good companion, the guy that has to do with theme parks, old and new, big and small. You know the man, the myth, the legend, Jack from Theme Park History. Jack, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Michael. Thank you for having me back on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Also, I just want to make sure everybody knows your name. Is that public?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Jack.
I forgot. You know what it is? I'm not good with memory, so I just got to make sure I do this thing before I, post anything, because, people are very sensitive about that nowadays.
Yeah, no, it's come out now. People know I'm by Jack. And even some people, they get the name wrong. For some reason, people think I'm like Jim. It's like I've never said Jim, so...
Well, Jack, it's good to have you back. The last time we spoke, we were talking about theme parks, Disney, Universal. We were talking pricing. Tonight's episode, we're going to talk about rides and attractions and things, and some questions I have for you. But since then, let's give a quick update to everybody. So since the last time we spoke, a lot has changed. You have grown bigger. I see that you have expanded. You've done express videos, which are very nice. You have also covered a lot of good rides that I've actually been looking forward to. And you've appeared on my channel once. You made a nice quick cameo trying to take over my channel in exchange for a OnePlus 7 Pro.
Hey, listen, I just tried to take advantage, okay? If I saw an opportunity and I thought it'd be something, and it actually ended up being a pretty funny skit.
It was a great skit. And guys, if you don't know, again, me and Jack, I told you last time we spoke, I know I was hyper because it was the first time I had ever been on with a big YouTuber, in my opinion anyway. But hanging out with Jack and hanging out with him, not in person, but, talking and communicating, very nice guy. And honestly, being a number, like I learned, you've even taught me, doesn't matter how much subscribers you are, it comes down to the person. And Jack, in all means, is a great person. And he's like I said the last time, he's the reason I started doing YouTube, wanting to entertain people. And I'm just so thrilled and happy to have befriended him. And I'm also very happy to have him on my channel. So Jack, welcome back.
Well, thank you. That was a very nice intro, and I'm good to see that your channel is growing, and see that you've taken the advice, you've run with it, and you're growing exponentially. And anything that can happen now, everything's on for you, and that's the best.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. And guys, before we start tonight, I have to do a lot of disclaimers. I hate to get this stuff, but we got to get it out of the way. First off, let's get the biggest elephant out of the room. To all my subscribers, to all the people that have been wanting a part 2 of this podcast, I need you guys to please stop requesting Alicia Stella. Guys, look, I'm not trying to cause drama. I'm not trying to start anything, but I feel that you guys need to stop asking me, because it's not that I don't want her on. I have tried multiple times. I've messaged her. She has refused to answer me or respond. And look, she just does not want to be on. So please, guys, stop asking me, because I feel like not only am I wasting her time, I am wasting my time, because she just does not respond. No jabs at anything. I'm just asking you guys to please stop asking me for Alicia Stella. If she doesn't want to be on, she doesn't want to be on. And you guys know me. I try to get the best on, but when you keep asking for the same person, and I keep telling you guys, and these are specifically for a sole group of people that have been messaging me, spamming me all the time, when's Alicia coming on, when Alicia coming on, she doesn't want to come on because she doesn't want to come on. So please stop asking. That's one. I'm not trying to start drama. I'm speaking the truth. She just doesn't want to come on. So that's one. Number 2, everything we talk about tonight is 100% opinion-based. Some of it will be based on articles and facts, obviously. So if you guys disagree with anything, you are more than welcome to. And number 3, to any of Jax's subscribers that are watching this, I do tech on YouTube. I am a tech YouTuber. I normally don't branch out as much, but in this case, because I have a history with theme parks, hint at your channel, I decided to do it only because Jack is the right person to go to, and also because it's a nice part to talk about with people. I do talk about other things, but mainly for tonight, I only branch off to theme parks. And if you do want to check out tech, this is the only time I'm promoting myself. I never do this, but if you want to check out tech stuff, you can subscribe to my channel. I'll be going to Samsung Unpacked this Wednesday, and I'll be there in person to check it out. And that's the last update. And I see you drinking over there, Jack. I see you having a good time. We didn't even get into it yet.
It's a Sunday night. I've had a long week.
All right. I'll give you a pass.
Listen, it's like friends speaking. It's like friends having a good time on a Sunday night.
Yes,
so,
that's true. Well, you know what it is. I
shooting
can't drink.
threes,
I can't drink yet.
I forgot.
I got a year and a half to go. A year and a half, and then we'll get there. But last
Sorry for taunting you like that.
Nah. It's cool. But last disclaimer, guys. To all my regular subscribers, again, I will be recording. My next video will be back in person, will be at Unpacked, and I wanted to say that we finally got the green screen and the microphone, so upgraded videos are coming. So thank you guys for the subscribers, and for new subscribers, thank you for subscribing. So let's break it down. Let's get right into it. So tonight's episode, we're going to be just breaking down a few things. Originally, we were going to talk about the future of Harry Potter at Universal, but as you guys know, there was an announcement of Universal's Epic Universe, where they a brand new theme park they have unveiled. It will be coming soon. It will host Nintendo Land. It'll host the Magic, the Fantastic Beasts, and all that stuff. So we're going to talk about that tonight, break it down, what it means to Universal. We will also talk about the future of the Harry Potter rides, talking about Hagrid's bike ride. We're going down into Halloween Horror Nights. I have some questions for Jack. And also, we will be talking about the failures of Universal and how they can learn from that to improve. Most notably, a few of the rides that have been panned by critics. But enough about that, and we'll do a bonus segment. But let's get right into it. I don't want to waste any more time. Let's go right into the big elephant in the room. Universal's Epic Universe. So, I wasn't anticipating this because I wasn't sure if we were going to talk about this or not because of the timing. But it just perfectly lined up when we were going to do this show. So, as you guys know, Universal has come out and announced for Orlando, they are unveiling a third theme park. Technically 4 if you count the water park, but I don't think anybody counts water parks anymore. So now you've got 4, technically 3. It's Epic Universe. It will host the Universal Monsters. I'm interested to see how that plays out. I'm actually mostly excited for that. Nintendo Land. You will have DreamWorks section of the park. You will also have Fantastic Beasts, and I think it'll have some shops and things like that. And even though you didn't get like a full kind of like 100% look, like let's say a 3D model, they showed off the plans, the design layout. And if you guys aren't aware, it is supposed to be open in 2022 or more. I don't know when. I think it was somewhere in the 2020s. So whenever it is, the point is that it's going to be a long time from now. So I want to ask you, Jack, when you first saw the announcement that they were going to unveil something, I remember on Twitter you were talking about it, you were joking around, but when you first saw the announcement, before they said it was another theme park, what did you think that announcement was going to be?
Well, if we're talking about the joke I made, it was that Fast and Furious Supercharged was going to be closed immediately.
Would have been an amazing day.
But I would have been applauding them, but that wasn't the case. But instead, we got the announcement of their 4th theme park coming, I guess, in 4 or 5 years, 20.
Something along those lines. Real fast, guys, I'm sorry about this. The connection is a little delayed, so there's going to be a little bit of laggy audio. I am working my best to make sure that that doesn't happen. So please bear with me, guys. The connection is a little audio.
All right, so we're still good. You need a minute?
No, it's the connection. It was a little laggy. I'm moving around now, hoping that this will fix it.
All right, so listen, just let me know when you feel ready, and we'll start up again.
Oh no, we're still going. It's just that
okay.
It's good now. It's good now.
Okay, yeah. So obviously, it's been leaked. It's been rumored for a while now that the 4th park was in the works. And what we got is exciting, but to me, it's a teaser of a teaser. We'll know more probably eventually within the year about what's coming to this new park. Again, it's very exciting because it's the first park to be built in Orlando since Animal Kingdom and Islands of Adventure back in 98, 99.
Mm-hmm.
I guess just because we've known that this was coming for a while now, that when the announcement was made, I was like, great, now we know. But you didn't show anything off except that amazing concept art.
Yeah, amazing concept art.
Yeah, I think the biggest reveal that I didn't hear a lot about is that massive roller coaster that is being built at the park, which looks like it's going to be a dual coaster. So after all the complaints of Dueling Dragons, Dragon Challenge finally closing down, it looks like a spiritual successor is coming to this new park.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. I like the concept behind it. It looks a lot different than Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios Florida. It's a layout they haven't done before, and honestly, the IPs they have involved, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what type of rides they create.
All right. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Not for the dragon one, but I'm the roller coaster, the dueling coaster. But I am actually interested in the classic Monsters universe because I'm actually curious to see where Universal goes with this. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, Nintendo's cool. I definitely think there's going to be great stuff at Nintendo Land, and I definitely think that's going to be the highlight of the park. But I'm interested in the Universal Monsters because I want to see how they treat the properties. Because you're talking like monsters that go way back in the 30s, the silent eras, to the golden age of Hollywood. So I want to see how they do this. If it's going to be like theme parks, themed rides, or whatever. Maybe even a little section with food and shop. I'm curious to see that aspect. But Epic Universe is shaping out to be something that I didn't expect. I didn't really think much about it until I saw the breakdown. And the breakdown does look interesting to me because of two things. One, it is completely, like you said, it's the first time they're building a theme park that, besides Animal Kingdom. And guys, if you hear a squeaking noise, I apologize. That is the alarm. Battery has to be changed, but we don't have a big enough ladder to do that. So sorry about the squeaking. And number two is the fact that they're starting to put in Fantastic Beasts. Now, we've already been talking about Fantastic Beasts, and we've talked about so many things in the past about how it would be good in Universal's side. But adding it to the other side of the park is interesting because now you have either the Ministry of Magic, which can definitely be a possibility because in Fantastic Beasts, that's the highlight of most of the movies, the Ministry of Magic. But now you also have some new fans to play along with. You've got the Fantastic Beasts world, you've got most of the animals, the rides, attractions, and not to mention, if they link the Platform 9 3/4 train ride all the way to the other side of that park, it'll definitely be something interesting. But I don't know if they'll do that. It's possible, but I don't know exactly. But I'm interested only because of the monster side. I think I'm focusing heavily on the monsters only because I grew up with the monsters, because my dad used to show me all those old movies, and I kind of like the Wolfman, Frankenstein, Dracula. So I'm going to be looking out for that, in my respects anyway.
I'm probably most excited, like many people, to see Nintendo finally come to a theme park. We've heard this rumor for the longest time, this immersive Mario Kart attraction. We've heard rumors of an Omni-Mover Yoshi ride, but the one that has been talked about a lot because I didn't know if it was going to happen is this Donkey Kong Country minecart roller coaster. Donkey Kong Country was my game as a kid. Those minecart levels were a pain in the ass, but they were always fun. And to see and hear these rumors of a Kuka Arm roller coaster finally come to fruition sounds pretty awesome.
Honestly,
I'm very interested to see what's going to happen because it's one thing for Nintendo to be at a park, but the concept art and the leaked, models that they showed off a couple of weeks ago, it looks like it's going to be just as immersive as Hogsmeade, where Diagon Alley's been.
The thing with Nintendo, though, that I always argue is that I feel that they should not make it like Diagon or Hogsmeade. Instead of it feeling like a little small area of the park, it should be more expanded. And the reason I say that is because Nintendo's going to be their main selling. There's no doubt they're going to put that on the front page of their posters and everything. But if you're going to spread it like that, you're going to want to kind of expand it out. And I'm glad that they're adding more, not just the Mario Kart and the Donkey Kong, but that they're putting other things like Yoshi, possibly some others. I mean, who knows? Super Smash Bros. We don't know what they're putting in, but if they make it bigger, and in scale and in size and in rides, you will not only have it so immersive, but I think the possibility of AR capabilities, because we talked about ARs in our last podcast, because I know they've got Nintendo Pokemon Go, and even the Harry Potter has its own AR game. You link them with the park, people are going to be in that thing all day, catching Pokemon, catching this, catching that. So it's interesting to see where it goes because of just how immersive it could be. The only thing holding it back, if it isn't, is Universal themselves, is how they project to spend their money and how much they invest their time and efforts into this park.
Yeah, but I feel like if there's one franchise that's going to really, really have their hands on everything, it's going to be Nintendo. Because for the longest time as a company, they barely branched out. They had to be in control of everything. They didn't really like working with other people. It was basically everything done in-house. But over the last couple of years, you've seen them go from being just consoles and handhelds to now mobile games. They have a movie coming out that's being made by Illumination and Universal. You know, they realize that, yes, they have their demographic of people who buy their games and are just immersed in their franchises. But now they know that there's a lot more out there that they can do. And the theme park is one of them. And if you don't think like Shigeru Miyamoto isn't going to be there telling them what they can and can't do, you know, I just don't see them botching this at all.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. Like, I definitely think that he will be a part. There's no doubt in my mind. I'm just saying that because Universal is the park that they're choosing to build with. They could have chose Disney. They could have chosen Six Flags for even, but honestly, who even considers Six Flags? But still, they chose Universal, and it's Universal's money that they're spending because Universal's giving them the money to do this. And if they choose not to give as much to build, that's on Universal. I mean, don't get me wrong, Nintendo's going to have a say. There's no doubt. But it's their money. And I hope, for their sake, that they give them the money that Nintendo wants. If Nintendo wants $300 million or more, give them $300 million more. You will make back that money in a day.
Oh yeah, that was the same. Yeah, that was the same thing with Potter. J.K. Rowling wanted things a certain way. Disney didn't give it to her. She went to Universal. Universal said, "Here, we'll give you a blank check and just tell us what you want, and we'll do the best we can under whatever rules and regulations we're allowed to create what you want." And they did. And look at the success Islands of Adventure had, and look at what happened. Mm-hmm. You got an expansion at Universal Studios Florida. Japan got its own Hogsmeade. Hollywood got its own Hogsmeade. And then now we've said it. It's not been confirmed, but the Epic Universe is going to have its own Harry Potter land, whether it be something related to Potter or Fantastic Beasts.
I'm hoping Fantastic Beasts because if they do another Harry Potter, because I don't think there's much left for Harry Potter. You've already hit the nail on the coffin with, the nail on the bat with, Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade. Although you can do the Ministry of Magic. But the thing is that if you're going to try to do the Ministry of Magic, you're going to want to have some backstory and stuff. Now, in the Harry Potter films, the real way you see the Ministry is in the Order of the Phoenix, the Half-Blood Prince, the Deathly Hallows Part 1, and maybe a little bit of Part 2. But I really feel like Fantastic Beasts is the way to go for that. Only because go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. And the problem is now, can you get even what we'll talk about, like Hagrid's, the actors are not there anymore. You don't have Radcliffe. You don't have
I was about to say that. I was about to say that before you cut me off, but I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, and so the question ends up being, sure, you can create more Harry Potter-themed attractions, but how many times are you going to have somebody from the Weasley family be the main protagonist for your adventure, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So Fantastic Beasts, it's a newer franchise. People know about it. Sure, the movie that just came out didn't do as well as people expected, but it's Potter. It's still popular. People still know it. And if you create more attractions on it, people are still going to come to your park.
Mm-hmm. And especially in the Wizarding World. Because the Wizarding World as a whole is a marquee. J.K. Rowling built up that universe. It started with books. It started with movies. And now it's got its own theme park. So the Wizarding World as a whole doesn't just have to be Harry Potter. You've got the Fantastic Beasts in there. That's why the YouTube channel Wizarding Worlds has both Newt and Harry on the billboard, both back to back. Both represent a time period from before and after. So it's a possibility. But my only concern with all this, before we got to move on, my only concern is just simply, will this, I know it's going to affect pricing for the park, because obviously they have to incorporate that into ticketing. But now that they've got this, is it going to be like Disney situation where it gets so expensive that you kind of have to foreclose your house to go? Or are they going to be like, maybe we could bundle it? I don't know how this is going to go. Only really, the only people that know how this is going to turn out is probably Universal. They're going to know how it ends. So I don't know how pricing is going to be, but I do know for a fact that we will see ticket increases. But I hope it's not significant enough to stop people from going and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that bad. I think they'll probably do the same thing they are now, which is they'll offer you 4-day, 4-park tickets. I mean, I'm pretty sure the ticket prices will go up, like you said, probably because in 5 years that's what happens every year. You see an increase in the ticket prices, but they'll probably work something in where it's like, hey, we'll give you this all-inclusive ticket so you can experience every park we have to offer. Because that's how they feel. It's like, hey, if we want to get our money, if you want to get you as a guest your money's worth, you got to go to all of our parks.
Exactly. And now I think it's time to transition into the next subject. Now we're going to talk about what originally this was supposed to be the topic of the video, the future of the Harry Potter world at Universal. So we've already talked about it. They are expanding it, rumoredly, with Fantastic Beasts. They are rumored to expand that. But let's pretend this announcement didn't happen. Let's look at Hagrid's Magic Bike Ride. Now, that ride has been out for a little bit, and it's generated a lot of buzz for good reasons. Most notably being that it goes back to the original way of animatronics and creative ways with the rides. And the fact that it's still expanding, giving more for the Harry Potter world. Now, my thing was, and now that you have this, pretend we didn't know about Epic Universe. Where could they go from here? Because, and I think you even talked about it when you said before, you can't get the same cast members. They're getting older. Daniel Radcliffe is barely even in Hollywood anymore. He's back to stage acting. Rupert Grumfer, whatever his name is, who plays Ron Weasley, he's not even around as much. I doubt Emma Watson wants to go back to Harry Potter because she's got Disney checks coming in left and right. And the Weasley family, I mean, you could pull them in, but, like, what are you going to do with them? The Weasleys, wild roller coaster kind of. So where do you go from here now that you have Hagrid's bike ride, even before we heard about Epic Universe?
Well, the rumor was always going to be if they decided to expand, you would get rid of the Fear Factor Arena, Stadium, whatever, at USF, and that would become London. That would become the Ministry of Magic. That was the rumor. That was never confirmed by anybody. But
I remember we talked about it. We talked about it in the last podcast.
Yeah, that's what I've always heard from people when you speak to them in the forums. Like, hey, what's the next logical step? Well, you build it right next door to where Diagon Alley is, because technically you're in London, so you can kind of say, here's your wizarding part in Diagon Alley, and here's the Muggle spot, which is in London. So, I was always assuming that. I never assumed that Dueling Dragons would be closed and that we'd get a Hagrid roller coaster. But probably that was the best move.
I think so too. And the Hagrid's bike ride itself, as a ride, it kind of gives people a little more faith in Universal. Because we're also going to talk about the failures. But if we look at their recent rides, everything was just screen animatronic. Not animatronic. Everything was just a screen simulator with 3D glasses. And I think people were saying it's enough. It was not worth going to the park to go on these rides. And I think that they learned from that, and they're like, we can't mess up on this ride. And I'm glad that they went back to the basics and what makes Hagrid's bike ride, what it was like the other rides. Not the Forbidden Journey, the Escape from Gringotts. And for me, I think that the fact that you were able to do that with the Harry Potter rides, it shows that there's still something left in the fuel tank for Harry Potter. Just because Harry Potter's been over for about almost 10 years, doesn't mean that the popularity is ever going to die down soon. I mean, we've got the Fantastic Beasts, but if where J.K. Rowling wanted, she could be making like sequel books with Harry Potter's children, and they could be doing so much, but like focusing on solely Harry Potter, I think what should be ideal for them is to do the Ministry of Magic. I think that's the best scenario, but whether or not you keep it in the Harry Potter universe or the Fantastic Beasts universe remains to be seen, because you can pull things from the Harry Potter movies, like, Dumbledore fighting Voldemort. You could have the part in the Deathly Hallows where the Death Eaters have taken over the Ministry, and you have to escape the Ministry of Magic, getting the Horcrux. You could take parts like that with the Dementors. There are a lot of potential with the Ministry of Magic, but outside of the Ministry of Magic, what realistically can you pull? The night ride? Like the bus night ride? I mean, God only knows if they do what they did with Fast and Furious with that. But you get where I'm going with this.
Yeah, the only thing I can imagine that hasn't been done yet, but you could try to make something, would be a Quidditch match. That's it. Listen, if they could figure out the technology where you could be on your own broomstick and stuff like that. I mean, I would kind of see it to be more like a Soarin' attraction, but everybody has their own individual ride instead of just being in a row. But again, you're right. You're kind of like scraping the bottom of the barrel to figure something out that isn't involved in the Ministry of Magic at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And again, my bigger concern would have been you have a roller coaster screen based attraction with Gringotts. You have the Kuka Arm with the Forbidden Journey. You have a roller coaster with Hagrid. What type of ride system do you use?
Exactly. Do you use both because there were rumors going around for a Ministry of Magic ride, and the rumors were that they were going to do revolutionary ride carts that have you go forward, backwards, down, like the carts in the Ministry of Magic. I don't know if you've seen the Order of the Phoenix or the Deathly Hallows, like the elevators. You'd be in the elevators and you'd be going around the place. Kind of similar to almost like Disney's Tower of Terror, except without the drop part. Just think of it like you go up and then you ride around and you do all that kind of stuff. So I don't know really where to go, but I think now that Epic Universe came out and we see that they're going to do the Fantastic Beasts universe, it makes more sense now because now you've got a new property, new franchise, relatively older actors that aren't going to age as fast. They'll still be able to put on the role. You'll get Newt. You'll get younger Albus Dumbledore. Probably, I don't know if they'll do Johnny Depp because of all the controversies, but you probably have Grindelwald. You've got a lot, and the franchise is still young. They've got 3 more movies to go.
Yeah, so
yeah.
As much as people want Potter, most likely Fantastic Beasts seems to be the way to go. Because like you said, you got these actors, they're under contract, they probably won't have a problem filming something for an attraction. And from a Universal standpoint, it makes more sense. That yes, Harry Potter is your moneymaker, but now you have something brand new that people may or may not know of, or they'll know about because you got these 3 movies that still need to come out.
Mm-hmm. And on top of that, the Fantastic Beasts are linked to the Harry Potter universe. These are events that happened before the Sorcerer's Stone or the Philosopher's Stone, whatever you want to call these movies, goddamn. But the point is, there is some things to go off of, but you don't have to keep scraping the Harry Potter rides or scraping, like you said, the bottom of the barrel for the Harry Potter. Now you have Fantastic Beasts, and I think that's the smart thing to do. Because I watched Fantastic Beasts. You could do the fight in New York. You could pull a duel with Grindelwald. You could do the magic, like flying, whatever those things are. Like, do it like, a 3D ride, except this time it's a carriage. You put people in there, it'll be like left and right. You'll look left and right, but at least it would make sense instead of having to do what they just do, keep taking from the Hollywood tram. These are things you can pull because these are relatively a new franchise, but it's popular. It does make money. There is an audience that likes this series. So for me, that's the best thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. As long as they're able to create attractions that feel new and unique with the Fantastic Beasts series, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
As long as it's not going to be some type of rehash of something that we know, and all they do is change some things out or replace the screens with new stuff from the Fantastic Beasts universe, I think they'll be fine.
I think so too. And you know what? I was going to transition right away, but I have one last thing to say. I think with the Fantastic Beasts universe, if they do go in this direction, there is going to be money to be made because the next movies are going to show off the wizarding duel, the first ever wizarding war. So that's going to introduce probably fanboy sides now because that's like what Harry Potter did with the 4 houses. Then now you'll have the Death Eaters, Grindelwald's army, and then you've got the good guys. So whatever's going to happen. I've never read the books. I probably should read them, but again, there's going to be a lot of franchise and marquee in that brand. So I'm telling you, it's going to work out.
You just imagine when you go to this new Fantastic Beast universe, you can buy your own Fantastic Beast. That right there, that's people are going to start doing like crazy.
Look at Disney. They sell $200 lightsabers, so people will definitely be spending to buy that stuff.
There was people talking about how they're trying to buy the crystals, to find a specific crystal.
The black ones?
The black ones. And I was like, people are going out of their way to try to buy it. It's like, that's insane. But you know what?
It's easy to find, too. It's not even that hard. All you got to do is just hold the little thing, put a flashlight on it, and if you see black, that's it.
Yeah. But the point being is that there was people, before they figured that out, they were going there and they were buying them just to try to get that one crystal. So, you know what? There's money to be made if it's like, hey, go to this new place and you can have your own very own creature.
Yeah. We'll talk about Disney. I think we'll save that for the end. We'll add that in. But anyway, let's keep moving. So now we got Halloween Horror Nights. Now, I've never been to Halloween Horror Nights. I've been dying to go since I was a kid. I've only ever gone to Six Flags' Fright Fest, which is the closest that I've got to a Horror Nights. Fright Fest is pretty good, I'll give it that. But it's no Halloween Horror Nights. So, I've watched your video. I actually gotta say that that's my new favorite because it documents... There were some childhood memories I remember as a kid. The grandma with the weird eyes and then the killer clown. But in your video, you talked about how they moved away from original creatures and have gone for a more, I guess you say, franchise kind of scares like Ghostbusters and Walking Dead. Well, I don't know if you've checked the comments in that video, and I've done also some recent search. There are a lot of people that actually want original concepts. I was looking at the comments, I was reading some comments, and majority of them were all like, yeah, the franchise and stuff are cool, but, you know, we like the original stuff because original scares is nice. Then I went on some forums, like people, like random forums. There was a poll. Somebody wrote, what would you prefer, having original Halloween Horror Night mazes over franchise mazes? And the poll was 78% said yes, they would like original mazes versus 22% that said they would stick with, you know, the Walking Dead like franchises. So I had some questions prepared for you, and we're going to talk about Halloween Horror Night as well. But my question to you is, when you look at these franchises and you look at the scares, after a while, aren't people going to feel that it's kind of getting redundant and old because it's the same stuff every year?
Well, that depends. If you're talking about that span where it was like The Walking Dead for like 5 or 6 years, having its own house or being like the main marquee of the event, I understand that because all it is, it's the new season of the TV show just put into a house, a maze. Mm-hmm. So I get that. But, you know, for me, I've always looked forward to the IP houses because you have things that you've seen on the screen and even as a kid gave you nightmares, and all of a sudden you have this opportunity to experience it yourself. But I do understand where that feedback comes from, where, yeah, it's nice to have these horror franchises and be able to experience it for yourself, but if it's like The Walking Dead, if it's like American Horror Story, it gets repetitive after a while.
And it's Stranger Things now. Now the new theme is Stranger Things.
Yeah. It's the creativity, but from a business standpoint, that's what draws people in. That when they did 17 and they had Freddy, Jason, and Freddy, Jason, and Leatherface, that year people were going nuts because it was the first time they had that type of event. They had the IPs in the park, and it was awesome. And then they milked that for God knows how many years, and people are like, I'm kind of sick of it now. I'm kind of bored of it. So now they've kind of gone back to this thing like, we still have IPs, but now we have more of our original houses coming back. So yes, you have Stranger Things. Yes, you have Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Yes, you have Ghostbusters. But I think they've announced 3 or 4 other original mazes for this Halloween Horror Nights event.
Well, you know what it is? I've done an extensive search when I was coming up with this segment because I wanted to tell you more about it. And I did some extensive search. And don't get me wrong, the IPs are nice. Everybody likes them. But they don't like the fact that that's the marquee. Because they feel that when Universal had the originals, and these are regular people that go to the parks for the Halloween Horror Nights. And I've read a lot of them. A lot of them like it. But they feel that as they slowly keep doing IPs, especially Stranger Things for 3 years in a row, they feel that the park kind of loses out on the original creations of what made Halloween Horror Nights so famous. Like Jack the Clown, Dr. Evil, whoever that guy is, or like the main. They feel that by introducing a concept, an original story, it made you want to go back for more. Because somebody wrote, I forgot who this person was. I'll have some links and stuff I can leave if anybody wants to check it out. But somebody was saying that one night they would tell a story, like the Killer Clown story. As the nights got closer to Halloween, every day that they did it, I don't know if you've talked about this. I don't know if you've known about this. Because I was not alive. I never went there. I was old enough. But it would expand more and more as the nights went on. So they want an original story that carries out till when it's Halloween night, and then they get that big giant reveal.
Well, that's what they did for such a long time. It was this ARG on the Halloween Horror Nights website that would tell the story, start around now in August, leading all the way up to Halloween Horror Nights. So it'd be teasers, it'd be stuff. You get an idea of what the theming and the topic's going to be for that Halloween Horror Nights. And it was awesome. It was great. I admit that. And the whole idea of having icons for every year was amazing. They went away from that because they had those IPs that were so popular, much more popular than this concept of let's create an original story for an original icon to be the host of that Halloween Horror Nights event. Mm-hmm. And, I don't think they've had one since Chance. I think that was 26. So, I get the idea that putting in the time and effort to create a story and a character that might not be a draw versus, hey, Stranger Things. Everybody loves this. The waits for the houses are like 3 hours.
I never was into Stranger Things. I watched all 3 seasons. I mean, it's a good show. Don't get me wrong, but I don't get what all the craze is about.
People are going to bash me. I've never watched it.
Ooh.
I've never watched it.
I would say watch it in Halloween season. I feel like Stranger Things fits Halloween. But here's the thing, though, Jack. And now we're going to get to something that I've wanted to explain why I think originality is key. So, remember I told you Six Flags Fright Fest, how everybody loves that? And I think that's like a big thing for Six Flags. Well, yeah. I looked at the numbers for 2018. I did all 8 mazes. I made a video. I vlogged it with my girlfriend. We did all the mazes in one day. That was a record for me. But I'm probably going to do it again this year. But here's the thing. So I did a research and wanted to see how much money it made. And here's the thing. It has no IP. It has no franchise queue or anything like that. The sole week of Fright Night, of Fright Fest, drew in about a 35% increase in admissions to Six Flags from the end of from whenever it starts, and it only gets higher. It's like October, that whole month, only for Fright Night, their sales have gone up, and it's every year, and they don't even have an IP. And that's what I'm saying is that people just want a good scare. Don't get me wrong. I love franchises going to the parks. I like that idea. Like, again, like you said, Freddy Krueger, Jason, Leatherface. Hell, I loved Leatherface when it came out. That was the first Leatherface I watched as a kid. The actor who played Leatherface in the remake, he actually messaged me. I messaged him saying I liked your interpretation.
Oh, nice.
He was a good guy. But the thing is that people, I guess, just want original concepts. So at Six Flags, because I could say, I went there and I've gone there, people love the story of the mazes. The mazes have a story to tell. The park has a story to tell. At night, when the ghouls come out, and how the guy, the Dr. Fright, who is the head of the whole Fright Night, releases his demons, and how the rides suddenly, like, there were some rides that actually literally turned into Fright Night rides. They weren't mazes. They were actual rides that were swapped. I don't know how they did that. The Dark Knight coaster all of a sudden turned into a horror coaster. I don't know how they pulled that off. But the point is that they love that there's a story to be told, and not just in the park, but also in the rides as well, and going back for more and more. Now, you could say with Six Flags, because they don't really have like an ongoing story, it's always in the mazes. But the thing that I'm trying to say is that maybe sometimes it's good to be creative, because you could come up with an original scare, like they did with the originals. Now, I'm not saying the IPs don't have scare, because they're franchises. That's what made them franchises. But, like, if that's going to be that, and I feel like after a while, people are going to start and turn around and go back and be like, we want original stuff.
Well, you've started to see it now. I mean, yes, they still blatantly advertise the IP franchises as the headliners for Halloween Horror Nights, but they've gone back the last couple of years to creating original stories and original haunts that haven't been done before. But it's just weird, because I'm pretty sure Universal brought in these IPs because Halloween Horror Nights was struggling. That's how I feel. You wouldn't be bringing in these IPs if your original concepts were doing so well. Mm-hmm. So, and you got to understand something here. Six Flags Fright Night is fine, but not everybody has a Fright Night. Not everybody's close to a Six Flags. So if you're in a state where you're far from a Six Flags, and then you know that Halloween Horror Nights is having Stranger Things, where they're having, Saw or Evil Dead or any of those franchises, where are you going to go? You can go to this park and at night go to a haunted event. That I think that's the reason they do it. But I do agree with you where I like that concept now of them going back to creating original stories, original haunts. They don't have to rely heavily on IPs, and the event itself is not something so heavily focused on that.
And you know what would be cool? Go ahead. I'll let you
Yeah,
finish.
I'm sorry. And I feel like, yes, 29 has some of that, 28 has some of that. I think next year for 30 will be a year where you see nothing but the icons coming
Oh
back
yeah, for 30.
and
yeah.
original houses. Because
I'm
they
going.
know,
Like I've told my family, I said I don't care if I skip school. I am going to Halloween Horror Nights 30. I've never been to one. I've seen all about it. I've seen trailers. I am going for 30 because I'm not going to live to see 30 again. So I want to go. But there's one last thing I want to say about the original stories. You know what the best example of that comes in? Disney. So Disney does for Halloween and Christmas because they keep it around. The Nightmare Before Christmas. The haunted mansion gets invaded by Jack Skellington every Christmas and Halloween. And what's funny is that I don't know if it's Halloween, but I think it's probably just for Christmas. But the funny thing is that every time up to the first day of December, there's always a little ride, like a little guest or whatever that's on the ride that they unveil. Every day, if you ride that ride, there's something in a specific place in the house that always gets unveiled every day leading up towards Christmas, where it displays everything. So things like that, getting people to go back to the park to see more. Because let's say you do like Six Flags, like you could go there, have stories and stuff, but once you do everything, you don't want to go back. Unless, of course, you don't do all the mazes, then you go back and do more. But if you were to like have a story where, let's say for Halloween Horror Nights, for 30, let's say you go and the first night you go, it says come back next week where the scares or something are amped up. You come back the next time, not only are there new mazes, but there's some new characters and some new backstory you find out to the park. You come back the next week before Halloween, you see that things have gotten completely chaotic, that these things are now starting to take on a life of their own. You know what I'm saying? Like it gets more and more vamped up. And when you get to Halloween, all hell breaks loose. So you see a progression of how everything was calm from the 1st of October. When you get to Halloween, all hell opens.
and that's fine, but let me ask you, if you're going to an event like that and you don't live by it, when are you going to the event? You're going to the event closer to when chaos starts, right? Halloween.
That's
So
true.
the problem is I like that concept, but for something like, let's say, Halloween Horror Nights, you can't do that because then you'd have nobody showing up at the beginning of the event and everybody waiting until the end when everything gets unveiled.
Well, there's the thing, though, but here's the thing. If they were to market it and advertise it as a must-go, figuring out some way, because there's always a marketing, there's a strategy behind everything. You know this better than anybody. I definitely know this better than anybody. So you could advertise, if you go this night, you go keep coming, they give something. I don't know what it is. Let it be some kind of crap or something you can redeem, whatever. There's always a marketing strategy. If they were to strategize a way to get everybody to come and follow through. Now, let's say, of course, obviously people that live far away can't keep coming every week or something. But for locals in Florida, because Florida's a big population, and no doubt in my mind is it going to do well. But let's say you finally get this event and you want to span it out and keep people coming. If you span it out, use a marketing strategy, a tool, a guide, something to make people keep coming and want to keep coming, then it could be good. But that's just me.
No, that's fine. I like that idea. You want to have people have a reason to come back. I just think of it as like somebody for myself who would have to travel down to Florida if I knew there was an event like that. It's like, okay, I can go at the beginning where something might happen versus going towards Halloween when I know something will happen. And then you know what the problem is? The problem ends up being that you're looking at a situation where that Halloween event is just so fully packed, they turn people away. And then you're really, really going to piss people off.
True. I see that counter. Don't get me wrong. I see the counters and stuff. And don't get me wrong. Again, I know there's always a counter to everything. There's always going to be pluses and negatives. But I feel that, again, even with all those negatives, people are still going to turn up. No matter what. And the cool thing that'd be cool, I was just thinking with the concept every night, the Wizarding World turns into the Death Eaters night. You have the Death Eaters take over the Hogwarts castle. Diagon Alley gets invaded with the Death Eaters. Jurassic Park, zombie dinosaurs. They've done that. You can then do Marvel. Marvel becomes anti-heroes, from heroes to villains, Venom, Carnage, things like that. So for me, and obviously it wouldn't be for the scares, but it'd also be for the kids, because, they can't really scare the kids.
Right.
But you don't even send kids to Horror Night. But I feel like we're focusing a lot on Horror Nights. We still got to keep going. We're doing good timing. But the point I'm trying to make is that I think Horror Nights is great. I definitely will be going to 30. There's no doubt. I will be going to 30. Even if I have to miss school, I'm going. But I feel that, the originality concept is getting slimmer and slimmer because of the marquees. Because now you got Stranger Things. They've added Creepshow. They are adding a bunch of more Ghostbusters. A few more. Walking Dead, maybe. I don't know. But the point is that even if they do add original stuff, they had monsters, Universal Monsters. Why not? That's a thing, for me. Because I remember they did have it, but then they got rid of it. So why not bring back I know they're bringing them back. I think there was a teaser saying that horror monsters are coming for Horror Night. If you want to bring them back, have a nice, Dr. Frankenstein castle-themed, maze. And have, that whole monster section, that little center where the monster cafe and stuff. Turn that cafe into a maze. Have it themed to Dr. Frankenstein's castle, where Dr. Frankenstein has unleashed all the classic Universal monsters. Things like that are cool. But having them theme and headline Horror Nights could be an interesting concept, because each monster has its own backstory. The Invisible Man, the creature from the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein's monster, the Wolfman, Dracula. You could even have them fight because they did a lot of fighting back then. So there's a lot of things they can explore, but the more marquees they bring in, the more it loses the story. And that's for me. But again, I'm cool with the IPs because, again, like you said, if you grew up watching it and you want to see it come to life, there's no better time than that. So that's my stance on it.
It's just trying to find that right balance between having original houses and IPs. And that's never easy.
What would be cool? I think in your video, because we're going to move on in just a little bit. I just want to spend a couple more minutes. Remember that the guy who was in charge of, let's say, the whole Fright Night or Horror Night, they themed him as the man or the creature that's responsible?
Oh, Fear.
Let's say for 30, Fear gets everybody, the original characters, go up against the IPs. Let's say the theme this year is old versus new. So let's say the IPs, or let's just say the franchise monsters for marketing-wise, or for people that pretend because they probably don't know what IP is. But let's say all the franchise monsters have taken over Fright Night, and Fear wants to come back and show what the true meaning of Fright Night is. Have the original characters and the franchises collide, but not making it a versus, but really kind of showing that the original guys still have it. We made Horror Night. You guys were just kind of our employees, and now we're here to show you what you couldn't bring, or something like that, some story. But the point is that
I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it's going to be for 30. That after 10 years of having so many IPs, Fear's had enough, and he wants the icons back.
Yeah, and then you could do, let's say, shows. You have shows. You have Freddy Krueger, Jason come out, and then you have Fear sending out Jack, and probably the granny telling a story to Freddy, putting him to sleep, and then he wakes up in her nightmare. There's a lot of things to branch out. But the point I'm trying to make is that there are so much potentials for the originals. I don't think anybody's forgotten them. I don't think anybody will forget the originals. And I'm glad you made that video because it highlights what Fright Night was. And I think that's why I kind of hold that video to a high standard a lot now, because of how much time and effort was put into Fright Night.
Yeah, you could definitely see that when they started, they didn't realize they had something, and where it is now. It went from just one weekend to now this, was it 2 months almost?
2 months, yeah, September, October.
Yeah, September, October, a little bit in November. And now you have all these, it's a huge event.
Yeah, and pretty much.
And it's something like, oh, you can go to the park. But everybody always asks, are you going to Halloween Horror Nights? So, I think they've managed to create something that I don't think even Universal realized that they had something when they did.
I think it's gotten to the point where it eclipses, Disney's things. For example, Disney has, Halloween night for the kids. You don't even talk about that anymore. You don't even talk about it because Halloween Horror Night is just that good. Hell, even little kids don't even get scared anymore. You can literally just take a little kid into the park. He'll go, trick or treat. The guy goes, brah. He goes, haha, good costume. Kids don't get scared as easily anymore, unless they're, under 4.
Yeah, but also it's like Disney does something completely different. They're not going for a Horror Nights vibe. They're going.
Oh
for,
no,
hey,
they're not gonna go for franchise
yeah,
kills. Not like that.
yeah,
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
They'll never, I think, create their own Halloween Horror Nights. If they did, that'd be interesting. But I don't think we're ever.
They kind of did.
Like,
They kind of did. If you didn't know, for season pass holders, they have they have a certain thing at a time of a certain day after hours in the park. The villains of Disney take over.
Oh, okay.
I'll show you that. Basically, for anybody that doesn't know, Disney kind of did that as like for late night season pass holders, for late nights after hours. They keep the parks open later, and they have the villains. So you've got Maleficent, the Wicked Witch, couple of others, and I'm just saying they've got the villains. So that right there could be something cool. But again, we don't know. I think we focus too heavily on Horror Nights, but it's a good discussion. It's good, and I'm glad you made that video. And I'm telling you right now, if you do another jump scare like that, I will personally come and find you, and I'll show you what jump scares is.
Listen, I've been scared by enough jump scares in my life. I have to pay it forward to people. That's it.
You just had to put the granny with the demon eyes. You just had to do the granny with the demon eyes.
Listen, if I create videos about Halloween, there's always one jump scare. Always.
Honestly, though, if you like, there was like we could get a lot more into it, but let's keep moving. So now what we were going to talk about. I know you had some other things lined up. What did I say? This is how much good we were having that I forgot what we were going to talk about.
I think you were talking about failures.
Oh yes. Thank you for reminding. So yes, we've reached to that part. Now, as you guys know, obviously no theme park is perfect without some of its issues. And in this case, Universal has been the front line of mistakes mostly this year. Well, maybe last year too. But this year, they have been faced a lot of negativity surrounding Fast and the Furious, Supercharged, Kong Skull Island, Jimmy Fallon, the Race Through New York, and if you don't believe me, you could literally look them up. And I think the last one, Despicable Me, Minion Mayhem, and a couple of other rides. But the reason they're facing some negativity is because of the use of screens and stuff. That's why I classify as the failures of Universal. But tonight we're going to focus on the one big one, the missed opportunity, the one ride that could have really did something unique. And we all know what it is. It's Supercharged. And not only was it panned by critics, fans hated it. They felt that the legacy of Fast and the Furious was dismayed. They felt that it didn't do anything new. Even though Kong Skull Island was the same way, at least it had an original story to tell besides transitioning into the ride that Hollywood did. It had a story. It felt like it was just taking Kong Skull Island, doing the Hollywood tram, adding nothing new, and looking at all the wasted potential. Now, a lot of people have come around and said how they could fix this, saying that the best way they can do this is to kind of re-theme it to Hobbs and Shaw. Now, I was like, that movie just came out yesterday. What are you talking about? But I actually went and saw Hobbs and Shaw, and I gotta tell you, there's actually potential. They weren't lying. I don't think they'll ever re-theme it anytime soon. They just opened it. But if you look at the wait lines and you look at the people that are going there, they're not making their money back on the ride. And I think that's going to be a catastrophic nightmare for their profits on that. But somebody wrote to me and said, because I prepare for these things, obviously I need some people to give feedback. Somebody said that they can do, if you haven't seen Hobbs and Shaw, please do not watch this part. It's a spoiler part, but I don't care. So I'm just warning you now. Skip to whatever time frame I put. But there was a scene where Hobbs and Shaw are on the island of Samoa, and they're trying to escape. Forgot what his name was. The guy from Ida Babu as a character in the new movie, and the trucks that they were driving was kind of like the trucks from the Fast and Furious Supercharged. So some people have kind of said they could have did a Hobbs and Shaw style, have it extreme, and kind of do things, branch off like that, and it would have been so much fun. But instead they chose to do the Hollywood thing. I can't get into it too much. All I can say is watch the movie and then you'll understand. So focusing on Fast and Furious Supercharged, we talked about it in our last podcast. We talked about how I didn't know anything about it until I went and saw it and everything. Well, it's gotten even worse. Employees have contacted me because I have friends that work there. They've come out to reach me and they said that the wait lines there's none to existent. It's the equivalent of Galaxy Edge for Universal. That's how empty it is. The wait lines are not crowded anymore. You don't even need a virtual pass. You can just walk in and you'll be on the ride. The seats aren't filling up. the waits are not long, the express passes are empty, so it's showing that this ride is just, it's a failure. So, do you think Universal learned anything from this?
Yeah, they definitely did, because look what they did with Hagrid's roller coaster. If they weren't going to learn from it, we would have gotten something almost exactly the same with the new attraction over at Islands of Adventure. I do agree with you where I think they kind of learned from Jimmy Fallon and Supercharged that screen-based motion simulators are overdone, and just at this point, they're overkill. I hope the future park doesn't have a lot of that. But specifically talking about Supercharged, it's just a lazy excuse for an attraction. I understand taking concepts from the tram tour, fleshing them out, made something great because we got Confrontation, we got Jaws, we got Earthquake out of it when the park opened back in the 90s. But when you take the exact same thing from the tram tour and you make it its own attraction, it doesn't make it any better. It makes it worse.
And here's the thing, the tram ride, the reason why they aren't bashed as much is because it's called a tram ride. It's literally the backlot ride. It's literally supposed to just be there because you're paying to go on a tram tour that everybody knows. And obviously, the originals rides, the King Kong that was there was gone. It got demolished in a fire. Jaws is still there, so it's nice that they kept Jaws around. But the thing is that these rides came to add more value to the tram ride. These rides on their own are not adding anything except just an excuse to have an attraction at the park. Now, the only exception to Skull Island, Reign of Kong, is that they basically kind of made a story and kind of took it more seriously. Instead of just putting the tram ride in it like they did with Fast and the Furious, they at least had a story, had a nice epic score, and they had, at the end, a animatronic Kong. So they did try to make it its own thing, but it still, no doubt, is just a blatant ripoff of the tram ride.
Yeah, Kong's finale is the same exact thing as the tram tour from what I've seen. But I give Kong a little bit more leeway because you built a highly themed queue. You gave it a couple more scenes. And again, the animatronic at the end is still very impressive. It's not Confrontation level animatronic, but it's still nice to see a massive King Kong at the end of a ride, not a screen. But again, it's just this idea that something from the tram tour only works because the ride system can't be the same. It just doesn't work. And I get it. Large buses, a lot more people can get on your rides, more capacity. It works out for you in the end. But the overall experience is left, you're left a little bit unsatisfied. You're not satisfied with the overall result of the ride. You go, that's it?
Mm-hmm. And especially for that ride, everybody that got off it was like, what is this? What was that? I remember I wrote it again because I was just like, let me see. Maybe if I give it another chance, it sucked again. But here's the thing. And I really don't like what they did. These are what the people did. The people, I don't think you should be bashing the employees. The employees are there just to do their job. But when they were coming off the ride, the employees were clapping their hands, trying to have everybody be like, hope you had a good time. Everybody turned around and booed at them, went boo. And I was just like, come on, it's not their fault. Why are you booing them? They're just doing their job. And I felt so bad for them because, they're not responsible for the ride's failure. They're just trying to, make your stay at Universal happy, and they're just trying to do their job. I don't think they deserve the ones to be booed. You should be booing the people that made the ride. And I didn't like that.
Yeah. It's a theme park. Things are never going to go according to plan, no matter what. But, I've always stated that I don't get upset that the ride is terrible. I get upset because Universal thought this was acceptable for an attraction. That they could get away with this and say, look, it's a full-blown new experience that you can't experience anywhere else. When you go, it's the same exact thing as I would experience back in Hollywood on the tram tour. Mm-hmm. You added nothing except 2 pre-shows. You spent 3 years developing this ride, eliminating Earthquake and the Beetlejuice show.
Mm-hmm.
For what? This? Yeah, it leaves a lot to be desired, And we're not even talking about the fact that the Hollywood version has 3D. So imagine if this ride in Florida had 3D. It'd be even worse.
It would be. And you know what's funny? You couldn't even see how bad it looks in 2D. That's why 3D made it look so much better. Like, everyone says it looks flat and fake. Well, 3D would have made it so much better. And honestly, I feel like they should have just put 3D. I don't know why they chose 2D, but...
Well, they've been eliminating 3D, honestly, for some of their rides. They did that with Despicable Me in Hollywood, and they just did it in Florida.
So that's right. I remember that.
Yeah. So
no, they didn't. I was just on it. They still did the 3D.
They literally, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, they removed it.
Wow. Well, I'll be going down soon. I'll definitely have to check that out. But,
so I think Universal started to realize that the 3D phase has kind of gone away.
Well, they still got Transformers 3D. You've still got Spider-Man. So there's some 3D rides.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know if it comes down to people just complaining about the 3D
and
getting sick from it. Yeah, and for Harry Potter, or if it's just like cost-cutting measures because they don't want to keep cleaning those 3D glasses every hour.
I don't blame you. Those 3D glasses would be hell to clean. Yeah. But like for a ride like that, if it was optimized and made for 3D, that should be a ride for 3D. Because I've seen it in 2D and 3D. 3D makes it look so much better. Even though, it's fake. At least it doesn't look flat and non-realistic. I mean, don't get me wrong, the ride's not realistic to begin with. But making it in 3D kind of has a little more leisure. So it can be like, oh, okay, it's like three-dimensional. It's like he's hopping over the tram. Kong Skull Island, because it was done in 3D, it felt so much better because... Not only did it feel like Kong was there, but also Kong jumping over the tram would have looked more realistic in 3D. When I took my glasses off in 2D, you could literally see it didn't look like he was hopping over anything. It looked like a screen.
Mm-hmm.
So some rides are required for 3D. Some rides, not all rides.
Yeah, it's definitely. Something like Spider-Man kind of is like the best example where they built it from the ground up with the intentions of having 3D effects built in, and it looked good. Transformers kind of the same way. I mean,
Transformers basically Transformers. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a good ride. Everyone loves it, but like, come on, it's basically just Spider-Man.
Yeah, but I always have to bring this. It's more critically praised in Hollywood because Hollywood has nothing like it.
Hollywood, yeah.
Hollywood doesn't have it. So I mean, we're lucky enough that when we go to Florida, we go, it's just a copy of Spider-Man. But if you're on the West Coast, they go, what are you talking about? We have nothing like this in our parks. Not even anything from Disney has anything like this. So for them, that's their Spider-Man. Okay. I do agree. It's the same ride system. It's 3D screens, a simulator-based attraction. But I still think Transformers gets a bad rap for something that it shouldn't, because it's still a good ride. If you don't have Spider-Man, it gets critically praised. But since Spider-Man's been around, it kind of gets panned for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. And we don't know if Spider-Man is going to be staying in Universal. I mean, don't get me wrong, because like I know the contract is lifetime as long as they keep within their rights and stuff. I know you broke it down, but like eventually someday when that time comes, they're going to eventually give up that ride. I feel because like even though they have the Hulk, Spider-Man, Doctor Doom and stuff, realistically Marvel's Adventureland is really just Spider-Man. It's not even Incredible Hulk even because like
we'll find out more in 3 weeks at the D23 event because they're most likely going to reveal what's coming to these places.
Yeah, the MCU is going to be in there too. They're going to unveil more of Phase 4 or Phase 5 even. But the point that I'm trying to make is that like with this failure from Fast and Furious, what do you do with that ride? Do you just keep it? Do you try to tweak it? What do you do? Like, what can be done to kind of salvage what's left of it?
As long as the ride doesn't break down, which I haven't heard it has, it doesn't have any technical difficulties, it's staying for a while. Nobody wants to hear that. I agree. Nobody wants to hear me say that, including myself. But it's going to stay because you know what it is at the end of the day? If everything else is busy, people have a ride to go on right away. They can't complain about how there's nothing to go on. As for changing it to something like Hobbs and Shaw, you can put a bow on a piece of shit. At the end of the day, it's still a piece of shit. So, I mean, it's a terrible ride. It is what I consider to be a failure of an attraction by Universal. But just because people don't like it doesn't mean it's going to shut down. If it does within 5 years, I'd be shocked. But I feel like an investment like that and all the time they had to put in, here's the problem. You can replace Fast and Furious with any other attraction. You're still stuck with the same ride system, meaning you're still going to be stuck with an attraction that people are going to not really be a fan of.
True. Some people have said you can use the queue from Fast and the Furious as like a haunted maze, like if you were to just like map it out. Because I'll be honest, the queue for the ride is nice. Like I feel like Universal spends more time caring about the queue than the actual ride, because the queues are so detailed, they're so nice, and honestly, you probably have more of a fun time just standing in the queue looking around than you'd be on the actual ride.
I'm pretty sure they do that on purpose because, like, oh, hey, well, if a ride that's broken down or you're stuck waiting a long time, at least you have something to look at while you're waiting.
Even then, looking at the same statue of King Kong, Skull Island, that got boring after a while. Especially that annoying bitch that goes, Donkey Kong! Hearing that stupid-ass animatronic, oh my god. Yeah. Like, after 30 minutes, it's like, I want to kill myself.
Yeah, I mean, but again, it's something where, when we talk about it, it was an idea that Universal thought, we have a popular franchise, let's get it into the park. Mm-hmm. Not realizing that people don't care about the franchise if the ride itself is terrible.
I think, though, King Kong is still relevant, though, because not even with the Warner Brothers style, like, I think it's still relevant because it was in Universal. And it's good. I think the only excuse for that is just to have King Kong back in Universal. I think that's the reason. It's just to have Kong back.
Listen, it might not be confrontation, but it's nice to be able to see him back in a park.
Oh, absolutely. Because even if it's not in Universal Orlando side.
Yeah. For Hollywood, for Florida, he was such an important part into growing those parks. Mm-hmm. I get it. It's not confrontation. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'd rather have him in the park at all than not have him.
Yeah. Well, now we've reached the end of the video. Now, before we do go, we do have our last topic, our bonus topic. This is just the future now in general. Where does Universal Orlando go? Now we're going to focus on Universal Orlando. This is the last part of the show, and then we'll wrap it up. There won't be no tech edition, guys. I want to keep it solely. I did that last time, but I think it's time to just keep it solely on theme parks. So now we discuss the future of Universal as a whole. We've talked about their next theme park. We've talked about Harry Potter, their failures. We've talked about Horror Nights. But now we need to talk about certain rides and the future whole as the park itself goes on. Because we're almost in 2020. And when we think about that, 2020 is a significant number. Because 2020, that is now where the future starts to take shape. Like, those futuristic movies, like the Terminator, the Jetsons, and all that crap. This is where everything starts to develop. This is like kind of like what people perceive it to be. But if you look at Universal, there are still some rides there that are either holding on by a thread or that could be gone. Let me run down the names. You obviously know where I'm going with this, or you probably are having an idea. But let me
Don't you dare mention the name of the attraction I think you're going to mention. Don't you dare do it.
Shrek.
Oh, Shrek. Go ahead. Yeah, who gives a shit about Shrek?
Okay.
Shrek gotta go.
Shrek. The Simpsons.
Still has some value, but I wouldn't miss it.
The Men in Black.
I really like that attraction, just because there's really nothing like it around. So I'd be. I know people say Buzz Lightyear, but
it's Toy Story.
And Toy Story. But you don't have animatronics. You don't have this competitiveness to it versus somebody else. I actually pretty upset that ride went.
Yeah, wait, I'm not done yet. I hope I'm getting down to some of the rides you may be thinking of, because I know you said, don't you say it. Revenge of the Mummy.
I'd be really devastated.
Is that which, or am I close to the one you're thinking of?
Yeah, you're about to say it, and I'm about to get really angry.
You think of what I'm thinking?
I hope so, because then this whole build-up's for nothing.
I almost don't want to say it now.
You have to, because you've mentioned everything else. You have to mention it.
I really don't. I don't want to say it.
Well, listen, just do it.
E.T.
Pull the Band-Aid off.
E.T.
They can't get rid of E.T.
I know they can't get rid of E.T., but here's the thing, though. That's one of the first ever rides in the park. And
it's the only opening day attraction left. I know people can say, well, the horror makeup show is still there, but that's not an attraction.
That's not an attraction. That's a show.
The show. E.T. will be 30.
I didn't want to say
in
it.
June next year.
I didn't want to say it.
Listen,
Like,
I get it. I get it.
but here's the thing,
It's-
though. Out of all the rides that I've named, their lifespans are running short. And I'm not gonna put ET in this because I think Universal really values Spielberg's, like, because I remember they said Spielberg will pull out of a deal, so I think they're gonna keep that ride going. But it's the most expensive ride to maintain, but they're gonna keep it, I think. But if you look at the other rides that I've named, Revenge of the Mummy, nobody knows anymore about the Brendan Fraser Mummy anymore.
No. No. Everybody knows who Brendan Fraser is from the memes and everything he's done.
Brendan Fraser has not had a successful movie since Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. He's coming back, though, in a DC. He's coming back.
Hey,
he's playing a good character. But still,
listen,
The Mummy, it was a
mention-
90s adventure movie. Nobody remembers it. We are living in an age where kids are on TikTok. Do you really think they're going to TikTok about The Mummy?
Listen, man, you know how many times I've seen the Brendan Fraser meme of his dressed up as a cowboy?
Yes,
He's
I've seen
still
that.
relevant. If he's relevant, the Mummy's still relevant.
But here's the thing, though. The franchise hasn't had a new movie in The Mummy. They had the remake, and look what happened with that. They tried to go with a dark universe. God knows what they're going to do with that. Now we look at the Men in Black. Now, I'm not saying, like, these rides are going to be torn down, but you got to think about the lifespan with 2020 and that number. There's going to be something happening to these rides one way or another. But Men in Black, don't get me wrong, the Men in Black is still relevant because of the international. But I don't think it'll be as successful, but still, it's still relevant. However, though, the original concept of the ride is getting old because, again, I'll tell you what they all have in common, but you can interact. Then we look at The Simpsons. Now, The Simpsons, it's kind of an situation or a weird situation only because The Simpsons is still on TV and nobody's forgetting about The Simpsons. It's been on TV for so long. It's one of the longest running TV shows. It's not going to go away anytime soon. But the fact that Disney now has control of it, a lot of the stuff in Universal, Disney has control of. And they're just trying to get their hands on it. But I think Universal's trying to do Bob's Burger now.
I haven't heard anything about that.
Well, regardless, I saw something that said Bob's Burger for a ride. I don't know if it was Universal or Disney, but Simpsons is starting to get old. The screen, the ride itself is looking is looking dated. I don't think Universal would go out and do a recreation, remastered edition because I think that, well, if Disney's going to take it from them, why would they want to go invest all that money only to have it be taken away? Unless they know that they can keep everything for an extended period of time for a long time, then I think they do it. But I think that's one of the few rides that could stand the widths of time, only if they were to update it, like redo the animation, like make it more like the show so it ages well.
It's not. I'll tell you right now the problem with the Simpsons ride. It's not the ride itself. It's the fact that it's in an old building that's almost 30 years old with a ride system that's very old. Mm-hmm. 10 years ago, it was acceptable. But now we're talking 10 years later, and that ride has not aged well at all.
That's why I think, with 2020 in that number, they need to do something.
But I don't think the Simpsons get touched. Because I think at this point, I think Universal's just going to ride out that contract, and once the contract's up, they're going to just dust their hands of it. Listen, they might be making money, but you mentioned now the fact that Disney owns it, and I'm pretty sure Comcast, who owns Universal, the last thing you want to do is give any money to Disney if they have to. Marvel, they're willing to do because the stipulation says, you can't build anything Marvel-based in Florida that based off your popular franchise. The Simpsons, it's going to be 30 this upcoming season. It's been around a very long time. Sure, it's iconic, but I don't know what the drawing power is. Sure, Springfield's drawing, but that's because of the food options, Duff. Just the whole area is very cool to be around.
Unless, though, if they did Family Guy, like, I always say this, I don't know why. I just feel like Family Guy would have been better. Because Family Guy is still funny. Don't get me wrong, I love The Simpsons, but, like, Family Guy probably would have been You could have had Stewie doing the back in time with the DeLorean. That would have been cool with Stewie and Brian. Like, those episodes where Brian and Stewie go back in time, they mess stuff up, they got to keep going back.
But the humor, I don't think, would go over well. That's the problem.
What do you mean?
The humor between the Family Guy show and The Simpsons is a lot different.
Well, they're about the same. They're not exactly the same. I mean, the humor's more adult type for Family Guy, but The Simpsons was at a point, they were like that.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think most people now relate the Family Guy series to be more adult-oriented, and if you're trying to make that like a kids section of your park, I don't know if, you can't really tone that down.
I guess.
And I agree. Like, Brian and I mean, there's some stuff in that show you can agree that you can't put into it.
Oh no, you can't put you could put Quagmire or Herbert. You can't put them in there.
Yeah, so it's weird because it's like like Brian and Stewie having their own attraction. I could see that happening, but you would have to tone down just the theming that they have from the TV show for the attraction.
Yeah, and I don't think Seth MacFarlane wants to tone it down. I think
no, that's my thing, and I honestly at this point think he still does it because he knows he's getting a paycheck from it. You know, we've seen him move on. He has those other projects going on. He just had that TV show on Fox for a couple of seasons. Mm-hmm. I think he wants to branch out a bit. I don't think he wants to be known as the Family Guy anymore.
Well, you know what it is? Family Guy is still so strong. The viewers, actually, now that you mention it, they have toned down the seasons. Now they're no longer like 20 episodes. Now they're like 10, 15 in a season. So it's toning down. But what else did I say? I just said a few. Shrek 4D. Obviously, Shrek is dying. Unless they do their reboot that they're rumored to do. There's no way that Shrek will ever be as popular as he was. I mean, don't get me wrong. People are still talking about Shrek. Like, they do Shrek animations, like, shorts and stuff all the time. But, like, it was never going to be as popular as it was going to be, like, with Shrek the Third and Shrek the Final Chapter. Like, it's never going to be that popular again.
No, listen. The attraction is a mini sequel between the first and second movie that came out in 2001 and 2003. It has to go.
And the ride is pretty much a movie on Netflix. You could literally watch it. It's The Ghost of Lord Farquaad.
I mean, it's just... I understand it has staying power, because everybody knows who Shrek is.
Yeah.
But we're 2020. If he gets a new movie and it gets rebooted, just build a new attraction. Don't update this. Get rid of it. Put something else there. For the love of God, just do it.
Like, even if it's another Shrek ride, but at least, like, make it a ride. I don't know if you've seen, like, the foreign rides of Shrek. They're not the 4D movie. They're actual Shrek rides.
Yeah, far away land. I think it's in Singapore.
Like, if you do something like that, that'd be cool. Because then you're actually making a Shrek ride. It's not you sitting down watching a screen. It's actually a ride. So, I don't know. But next up, what did I say? Last one up. Well, now we know Terminator's gone. They're going to do the Jason Bourne, which I still don't know what perplexes them. Because the Bourne franchise is dead. The Bourne franchise is dead.
I don't know yet. I don't know if the rumor's been born, but the fact that they just trademarked Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, I got this feeling that maybe the show's going to be based around that.
I don't know, because Hobbs and Shaw just came out. We don't even know the box office numbers. We got to wait and see the box office numbers.
60 million. Number one this weekend. $180 million worldwide.
What was the budget of the film?
I think it's a $200 million movie.
Okay, so it'll break even. But again, I don't know necessarily. If it breaks $1 billion, I mean, it could possibly make $1 billion. But if it gets upwards of 600 plus, maybe it'll be the show. But again, we don't know exactly. And I mentioned it. People were talking about Hobbs and Shaw even before the movie came out. But like the Bourne, like I don't know. Like, even if it's a rumor or not, like, why would they want to put the Bourne? Jason Bourne was fine maybe 10 years ago.
And the thing is, we don't know. I haven't checked, but I don't think there's a Bourne movie coming out.
That's not a Bourne.
That's my thing. Listen, I understand that it's a popular franchise, I guess, for Universal, and they don't want to spend money to bring an outside franchise into their park. But if you don't have a movie, and the last movie that came out was like 3-4 years ago, and there's no intentions of Matt Damon coming back, I don't see the incentive. But again, I said it the moment T2 closed. It doesn't matter what goes there. It's never going to be better than Terminator 2 3D.
It will never be. No, Terminator 2. Honestly, the Terminator franchise is still around. Anybody could, even if it's not good or anything, I mean, it's still relevant. People still talk about the Terminator. They had Genesis. Now you got Dark Fate. Although, to be fair, they really messed up Genesis. But Dark Fate, they got James Cameron coming back, of all people, to help fix the franchise.
Listen, imagine if this movie does very well.
Which it probably will.
And then imagine Universal is going to be kicking themselves. Instead of just revamping the show to this new movie, if it does very well, I say, instead you brought Jason Bourne in, and the show tanks. Because again, we don't even know if it's going to be this combination of like live actors and 3D screens again. I don't know if you can do that with Jason Bourne.
No, you can. Actually, maybe. Because Jason Bourne, what you can do is you have like a little segment outside, then he go into the screen. He has to jump from building to building or something. I don't know. But the thing is that Terminator was never a dull franchise. And this movie, Dark Fate, is a sequel to Terminator 2. So this ride would have fitted in. You could, if the story panned out like the ride, it could have been a sequel. It could have fitted in so nicely. But even then, we don't know the thing. And the thing is that Terminator 2 is one of the best sequels ever made. It's one of the best. So it's not like people are ever going to forget that movie anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's still considered one of the best blockbusters to ever come out.
I'd be happy.
Whenever it's on, whenever I'm going to a channel, if I find it, I stop whatever I'm doing, I leave it on.
Yeah, of course. I'd love to watch it again. Some say it's going to be The Secret Life of Pets. Others are saying Kung Fu Panda because of the Kung Fu Panda ride. Honestly, I feel like, personally, the DreamWorks part could have been expanded a lot more because of all the potential and of how big it was back then with Shrek 2.
Right. Logic says you have a Kung Fu Panda show in Hollywood that replaced Shrek. Mm-hmm. Why doesn't Shrek get replaced with Kung Fu Panda here in Florida? What are they waiting for?
Yeah. And it's not even like the lot that they have it in. They couldn't have designed it to look like the castle far, far away. They literally just left it the way and just put Shrek pictures on it.
It was just an easy overskin for them. That was it.
And the last one I said, what was the last one?
I thought you said Bob's Burgers.
No, not Bob's Burger. Like one of the rides that's getting old because of 2020.
Well, you said E.T.
Oh, there's one more. Yeah, we already said no. Oh, one more. Fear Factor Live.
Well, Fear Factor, I don't know why it's still around. It's based on the old show, not the one that they rebooted.
Oh, no, I like the old show. I used to watch it as a kid, but I think that it's time for it to go because nobody goes to it anymore. It's like the Indiana Jones. It's like trying to be Indiana Jones from Disney, but at least with Indiana Jones, everybody knows and it's still relevant. And it's an action show. Fear Factor is just trying to make you be brave and stuff.
Yeah, again, it's something that's been around the park, you think, way too long. Something needs to replace it. Even if you keep a show there, just make it a better show.
Yeah. So now let's get into the whole point, because we've named everything, and you guys are probably wondering, what are you trying to get at? Well, in the year 2020, which is next year, everybody's going to be looking at the next thing for theme park, especially Disney, because we're reaching 2020. We're pushing the future. And after all the attractions I named, maybe with the exception of E.T., unless they have the balls to really take it down, and then they lose Spielberg, which I don't think they do. But in the event, what can take the place of all those rides that we've talked about? Like what? And it's not going to happen. But if it were to happen, what could be? Now, I have some theories, but I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
You know, it's really weird because I think going forward, the park that's in the most trouble is going to be Universal Studios Florida.
Yeah.
Because of all the reasons you've mentioned, you have all these older attractions there, and you have to either replace them and update them, or you're going to leave them the way they are. Mm-hmm. And you assume with all their time and devotion going towards the Epic Universe that Universal Studios Florida isn't going to get any love. We know Islands of Adventure just got the Hagrid's Magical Motorcycle Creatures Adventure. Mm-hmm. We know they're getting the Jurassic World roller coaster. Universal Studios Florida, all they're getting is this Jason Bourne show. So you have a lot of questions on the table. Can you replace any of those franchises? They didn't replace the Mummy with the newer Mummy because it bombed.
Yeah.
There was always the rumors of Super Nintendo Land going in the kids' world, but now that's going to the Epic Universe. Mm-hmm. There was talks of Pokemon going there. Now I've heard Pokemon might be an expansion of the Epic Universe a few years down the road. So it's a weird thing because I can't think of any franchises you can replace with the Mummy, Men in Black, and E.T.
Well, you know
there's always the rumor, and you'll hate it, is that you can replace E.T. with Stranger Things. And I think that's a terrible idea.
I think so, too.
So, again, at the end of the day, yes, some of the attractions are old and need to be updated, but I can't... Most of those franchises are not going into Universal Studios Florida. They're going to be going to the Epic Universe. Yeah. So it's going to be really weird to see what happens to the original park.
Well, here's my thing. 5 years. Here's my thing, though. The Revenge of the Mummy is in a rare situation. Because kids are growing up. They're not going to look back at The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. Because back when those movies came out, those weren't even horror movies. Those were action style. And it was a big thing. But as we keep getting older, there's new generations that are coming in this world. And they're getting dumber and dumber by the day. So they're not going to know any of this stuff. So, what could you do with the Mummy? Now, you can say the reboot. There was a rumor it was going to, but obviously looking at the numbers. But the thing is that if you were, because I know Universal wants to build the Dark Universe, they're still working on it. They say that they canceled it, but then it turns out they were just tweaking it. It's still happening. I don't know what the situation is. But if they were to get this going and they do make it successful, put it in with a monster movie like The Mummy, like trying something, I don't know. So, The Revenge of the Mummy, what could you put there? Originally it was Confrontation, then you put The Mummy. Who knows what you could put there? It's a toss-up. But if you were to put the new Mummy, it would make a little more sense. Although financially, the movie did suck. But making it relevant still, saying it's The Mummy, it would still make sense. Because it's a Mummy ride. You didn't have to change much. All you had to do is just probably change the queue up a little bit, theme it to the new movie, and also maybe tweak a few designs. You could probably get away with keeping it still a Mummy ride. Now, sorry, my throat's killing me. Shrek, you can probably definitely do Kung Fu Panda, or you can change it altogether. What they really should have done was build a far, far away castle and make it a ride like in Singapore, but of course they never capitalize on it, and that's what happens. For E.T., look, I don't think it's going anywhere, but in the event that it does, I hate to say it, but like, if it does get taken away, I don't think it will, they probably will put something there. They're going to probably put an expansion to keep people from coming, or keep people to come. Simpsons, when the contract's over, yeah, they're going to demolish that. They're going to do whatever knows. Whether they put in a franchise that they have, like, what could you put there?
I always made the joke that you can just go back to making Back to the Future and change that entire thing to 1885, 1985, and 2015 Hill Valley. So you have the Wild West, you have the present, and you have the future Hill Valley.
That's true.
But, I mean, that's just me as a Back to the Future fan. I'd love to see that. But I don't think you're ever seeing any of the old franchises coming back.
Oh, no, you're never seeing Jaws. You're never seeing Earthquake. You're not going to see any of that stuff.
Yeah, but, so it's tough to say because you look at the franchises out there and you go, are they bringing anything here, or did everything just go to the Epic Universe?
Yeah. But let's take a look at the last two that's left. You got Men in Black and Fear Factor. For Men in Black, if Men in Black is still relevant in the future, which it might, because even though International wasn't rated too well, it did make some money. So if it was to get rethemed, they just put a skin over it, it could probably stay around. But if they have to tear it down, they're going to do something. But they'll keep the Shoot Blaster theme, though.
Yeah, they should. I really enjoy that type of attraction. There's not many of them, and I think it does it very well for that.
Oh, yeah, and it's cool because you can just sit down, grab your gun, and shoot around.
Yeah.
And lastly, Fear Factor Live. That should have been took it down a long time ago, but I think what will probably end up going there is an expansion probably for maybe, who knows, honestly, maybe even an expansion. Maybe do London there, and maybe just do like a shortcut to the other park from there to go to the Ministry of Magic or something. I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see. But it's just scary knowing that 2020 is right around the corner. And the more millennium generations that get older, the more people coming into this world, they're not going to know what we know like today. Like, you look at people that are in 2010, Mummy was still popular and everything. We get into 2020, the next 10 years from now, things are going to be different. People are going to be like, what movie is this? Or where did this come from? Because they're not going to know. It's not going to be as popular. So I hope Universal figures out a way to kind of keep these things working. Because Revenge of the Mummy is a nice ride. I got into it finally. I was always scared of that ride, but I finally got into it, and I love it. That's like the only roller coaster I love doing at Universal. I can ride it all the time. And I have a medical condition. I'd never told anybody, but I have a medical condition with roller coasters. I have a problem with like a shock in my vertebrae because I guess it's like the drop and stuff that it makes me. So it's a legit problem. But for the Mummy, I'd be willing to take it just for that. That's how much I like the ride. So I hope they do something for that. But everything else, if it has to be, it has to be. And we don't even know what they're putting there because there's not even a teaser or a sign. Like, I went to the backlot where the Terminator ride was once. There's nothing. There's not even a poster. There's nothing, anything. There's not even a sign of something saying coming soon. It's not even like any work walls. That's how you know that they don't even know what they're going to put there. They should have never closed it. I don't think they should have closed it.
Yeah, I'm surprised at this point. If it's supposed to open next year, they've made no announcements whatsoever. You figure by now they would say something. So it makes me feel like maybe they're behind schedule.
That or they just really do not know what they're doing. Because Terminator was fine. And everybody that wanted it to close, well, you got your wish, but look what you get in return.
Yep, it's not better than what you originally had.
Yep. And that's it for Technoid, the theme park edition. So this was a good podcast. This was definitely nice. A little bit shorter than the last time. I'll definitely say that. But before we go...
I tried to just make the chit-chat, cut it down a little bit on my end.
Me too. I know last time I looked at myself, I was talking a lot too. But guys, again, this is a theme park edition. I don't expect a lot of views out of it. But again, I don't care about the views. All I care about is interaction. And I love interacting with YouTubers. I love collaborating. And Jack is one of the best guys I've collaborated with so far. I hope to do more collaborations in the future. It doesn't matter who it is. I have Sam from Steam Mobile Tech. I did one with Tech Rant and Zolotech. I hope to one day do it with them again. But Jack is always welcome on my channel. You're always welcome. I'm glad I was able to bring you back on. I was glad we had some combos. I know I told you last time I said you were my idol. I know I definitely came out wrong. But again, I still watch your channel. I still watch everything. And you know what? I'm happy that I still continue to watch after all these years. So thank you.
Thank you for having me on again. I don't get the opportunity to go on a lot of channels. Just busy with work and then also working on the videos. But it's always nice to be able to sit down with you and just, shoot the shit about theme parks or anything else going on.
Mm-hmm. And the next time I have you on, which will probably be, I know it was a long time we had to take you back on, but once we bring you back, we'll definitely change it up. We won't necessarily have to talk about theme parks. We could talk about, we could talk tech, we could talk anything. I'm into any conversation. That's why I want people to know. I may focus on tech, but I can talk about anything and everything.
Yeah, listen, as long as we can have a conversation about something, I feel like it's always a good time.
Absolutely. As long as it doesn't get into politics, then we're good. Because the last thing I want to do is look at a comment section that calls me names and look at people and stuff like that. Look, we live in a very sensitive society. I don't think we should go any further. But last thing before we go, let's finally get some closing thoughts. So again, Jack, thank you for coming on. I always love having you on. It was a privilege and an honor, as always. I hope one day that we could keep doing this. I hope that, as you grow, don't forget about me now. But for real, I hope we could do more in the future. I know you're a very busy person, and I'm becoming busier now with college starting back and also with work. So things won't be as easy, but I do hope that we can continue to do this. And I hope to one day, maybe, who knows, maybe be on your channel one day again. I don't know, the future holds. But again, it is a privilege to have you on, and thank you for coming on again.
Yeah, no problem. Once again, thanks for having me. Like I said, you know where to reach me. If you ever want to do something, you know where to get me at. Mm-hmm. And maybe, who knows? Maybe at Halloween Horror Nights 30, we'll finally meet up and we'll tackle all the houses.
Maybe.
The only thing is we're going to find out who's going to have the most jump scares.
All right, I'll take your challenge. A year from now, I'll tell you what. You and me, okay, I'm serious about that. I'll do it. You name the day, when you want to go, on a weekend, weekday. I don't care. I'll miss a day of school. We are going Halloween Horror Night, guys. You heard it first from Jack. We will meet up. We will see who does the realest, and I'll have my express pass because I'm a member, so I sign up all the time. Hey, and I will bring you on with it.
As long as I'm not responsible for you, failing any classes in college, I'm down.
Don't worry. I do good in school.
You know what I mean?
I do good, so I'm actually, believe it or not, college is easier than I thought. I actually like it.
It's just, but Professor, here's my proof why I wasn't here. Look, here it is. I was with this guy. He said a year ago we had to go to Halloween Horror Nights, and I had to go. So, and here's the proof. I was here. Here's the photos. Here's the video and everything. So,
here's an extra $10. So if you give me a nice passing grade, I'll slip it in there.
Listen, as long as it's a 70 and above, we're good.
Yeah, obviously, I'm 80 plus, so I'm good with that. But anyway, guys, enough joking and stuff. We got to get going. Again, thank you once again. And to everybody watching this, thank you for listening. If you like the podcast, hit the like button. If you dislike the podcast or anything, you can hit the dislike button. Again, thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. And to all my subscribers, I will see you on Wednesday where I recap Samsung Unpacked 2019. And last one, any last minutes from you, Jack? Go ahead.
The only thing I can say, if you're interested in our channel, you can find us at youtube.com/themeparkhistory and at Twitter at TPH YouTube.
You just had to go youtube.com/theme park history. You couldn't have just said, you just put in a little search browser, theme park history.
Well, if I have the URL, why not?
Why not? You know what it is with the URL? I don't think people are, like, in this day and age, they're getting lazy. They don't want to go www.youtube.com/theme park. They just want to look up theme park history.
Well, either way, if you put in theme park history on YouTube, we'll probably be on the top.
Oh, yeah, of course. You'll definitely be. And last thing, one last thing. I do have some things from some subscribers. You know me, I always like to do this. Some subscribers, they always have questions. This time, however, I have some suggestions from subscribers. I was supposed to do this earlier before we ended. We were supposed to end just now, but I just remembered I had them. So let me pull them up here on my iPad. These are some suggestions from some subscribers for future videos that you can make, and also I have one of my own. So, so let's get right into it. So apparently someone here by the name of Seabass, he wants you to, and his real name is Sebastian, but he's not a new subscriber. He's an older subscriber. He's been on me older. He says, for your next video, I would like you to make a history on the Haunted Mansion at Walt Disney World.
That is a highly requested attraction.
I don't know. I mean, but here's the thing, though. If you're going to tackle the Haunted Mansion, how do you handle that with two parks? Are you going to talk about the main one, or are you going to talk about the bigger one?
Oh, trust me. I can tell you right now, I'm working a collaboration right now to get Pirates of the Caribbean done. But there's like 6 different rides, so I have no clue how to tackle it.
Hey, you can always ask me if you need a tackle a ride. I've been to Universal.
But you know what I mean? It's like Haunted Mansion is like highly requested. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure it out. But do you cover just one? Where then people can say you didn't mention the other parks.
You know what it is? Those things like that. Yeah, you would need another person. I would probably be good for like the Nightmare Before Christmas theme if you were to do that. I could definitely do that because I studied that whole thing. Yeah. But that was a suggestion. The next one is from Cheryl. She writes, if you could do another video, I would recommend, and some of these are from Disney. Don't get me wrong. These are
That's fine.
Mostly Disney. Test Track. She wants to see it update on Test Track.
What was her name?
Chelsea.
Well, Chelsea, check back in at the end of the month.
All right. Next up, this subscriber wanted to remain anonymous, but he goes by the username of XX. I just got you B. I don't know why the hell he told me to say that. Oh my god.
he got you to say it in a video, man.
He goes the Escape from Gringotts. He wants to see the history of the Escape from Gringotts.
Diagon Alley's getting covered entirely next summer. I gotta save some of the Potter.
Oh, of course.
I can't do it all at once.
Of course.
So Escape from Gringotts and the Hogwarts Express, along with some of the Diagon Alley. Mm-hmm. That's next summer.
Trust me, we got a lot of requests, buddy. So you better sit back and relax. We got 5 more.
Oh my god!
Now here's one from me. I recommended this one, and this one you might be surprised from me. The Carousel of Progress. It could be an express video, but I put that down because that's a significant ride for Disney, in my opinion. So I said maybe you should do the Carousel of Progress.
You know, that hasn't been really requested. I understand why. It's a rotating show. I get it. But you are right. There's a lot of history behind it. It's a foundation of the Disney park.
And you know what it is? It was when my father went to the World Trade Show, like they had where they showed it. I remember my dad told me he actually saw it when Walt Disney presented it.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to see that. And I know you do express videos, so you don't have to necessarily make a long video. But if you were to, that'd be cool. But it'd be interesting. So I say the Carousel of Progress. Next up, somebody here by the name of Duty Doos. I don't know where they come up with these names. Duty Doos. It's Dudy, by the way. Okay. He goes, hey, theme park, love your channel, been a good subscriber. Thank you for the shout out. He wants you to do the history and closing now of the Terminator 2 ride.
Already did Terminator 2 3D.
Oh, okay. So then his thing is checked off. We can check
did that April or May of last year. So it's on the channel.
Oh, it's already on. So Duty, if you're watching, go find that video.
Take a look.
Next up is from, we got a YouTuber here by the name of SSM. It's just abbreviated. I'm not saying his whole name. But he goes, hey, theme park, love your content. My question to you is this. When are you going to make a video about the Disney Castle, the Cinderella Castle, the history of the Disney Cinderella Castle?
You know, nobody's asked for it, so I haven't really thought about covering it. that actually wouldn't be a bad video because you could talk about the differences between all the castles at the parks.
It could be.
I can look into that. It's weird because we don't usually get those requests. It's always a ride. It's not like something at a park.
Mm-hmm. We got two more, and then we're gonna end the video, the podcast. The second one is from Christian, if I say that right, Christian, whatever. Christian writes, "Hey theme park, I would love to see you make a video about the new Avatar rides. I know they are just recent and new, but it would be interesting to see what's behind the story as to why they chose Avatar."
Yeah, I've been looking into it. Like, I not that I stray away from the brand new rides. I just try to wait a little bit. But there is a decent amount of history between covering, like, Mickey and Minnie's camp over there, then turning it over to Pandora. Maybe next year.
Okay.
Like, early next year, we might be doing something like that. Because I want to cover the Animal Kingdom more. There's a lot of good stuff from there I haven't touched yet.
Mm-hmm. And last topic comes from Cheryl. I think that was the first girl I wrote. But she goes, "Hey theme park, for a while your theme of the videos have been separate individual rides. However, this time I have a suggestion of not a ride, but an actual whole theme park itself. How about you talk about the history of the theme parks, Walt Disney World, like Magic Kingdom, then talk about Epcot, then talk about Animal Kingdom, talk about Hollywood's or MGM, and then you break down each side and their intentions." And the reason she goes on and explains, she says that while you talk about certain rides linking to the park and their history, it would be fascinating to know the backstory as to why the actual theme park itself was open, their concepts and ideas, and what could come out of it in the near future.
I've been wanting to cover a theme park in general. The problem ends up being like with the Halloween Horror Nights video, where if the park's still open, I can't cover the entire history. Mm-hmm. So you know immediately after somebody watches that video, they're going to point something out about the park itself. Like the best example was the Jurassic Park ride. Mm-hmm. Everybody goes, "Oh, you should now cover Jurassic World. You should update that video." Mm-hmm. It's not that easy because, you know, I can cover the history of like Disneyland, Magic Kingdom. That's fine. But you know, like 4 or 5 years from now, when something happens to that park, you know somebody's going to say, "Hey, your video's outdated. You need to do something."
Oh, yeah.
So it's like trying to find a balance. So, like, yeah, we talk about the park a little bit in the video and how it relates to the attraction in that park. Mm-hmm. But I'm still trying to figure out how to cover an entire park in the video without dating it very quickly.
Ah, I see. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I actually missed two. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Jack. I missed two by accident.
No problem.
I'm sorry. These last two, whoever they are, I apologize. I almost missed them. Last one comes from Chicor2. I don't know how to say that. Chicor2 goes, you should be making a edition video where you go what went wrong with a certain ride that closed or failing attraction.
We've been looking into doing something a little bit different. I don't want to reveal it yet, but I want to talk about basically certain things that have happened with parks. Mm-hmm. One of them being like disastrous rides. Mm-hmm. So I hate to be like the cliche, but it would be like a top 5 list.
Oh, okay.
So I'm working on that, and I'm trying to save topics like that for those type of videos.
Yeah.
So, but that probably won't. I'm not trying to be ambitious yet. Like we did the Express videos for this year. That would be next year.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a rotation. I have more variety in the videos that come out.
Got you. You know what's funny? I'm surprised a lot of my subscribers really watch you. That's actually pretty shocking. And the last one comes from Maria X2L. She's probably taking jabs at the Pixel 2. But she writes, "Do a video on the Tree of Life at Animal Kingdom. Also the ride inside of it too."
Oh, so the bugs, whatever, it's tough to be a bug?
It's tough to be bugged and the tree itself.
I could do that. It would probably be an Express video. Because I don't know how much you actually can talk about a tree.
Well, you could talk about the ride on the inside, but you could also talk about the tree itself, how, like, the theme... You know what's funny is that Animal Kingdom was supposed to be based off of Lion King, from what I understand. But because, I guess, because of the way it was built, they ended up just putting the Bugs Life ride in there. But who knows? You probably know better than me. And that's going to do it. So I think I've wasted enough time. Tell everybody that submitted their requests, thank you for your submissions. I hope I said your name right. If you guys get mad at me, you can send me your death threats later. But again, final thoughts. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Please let me know your thoughts down below. Jack, once again, thank you so much for coming on. Sorry if I dragged this out a little longer than expected. I forgot about the requests until the last minute. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Listen, you got to always worry about the people that are willing to watch your stuff. So I thank you, and I think everybody who put those requests in. We'll definitely add it to our list, and we'll be looking into it.
All right, that's going to do it. Thank you guys for listening. Have a great night, and peace.